Number 5 on the list of the top 10 stories for 2022. Parents take dealer to court over teen's purchase of a $40,000 Mazda RX-7.
Yes. Well, this one was... as I was reading through it, my emotion was a roller coaster of emotions. My opinion changed multiple times.
Yeah.
This dealer, Nelson dealer, sold a 1999 Mazda RX-7 to a teenager in October 2021. He charged him $40,000 for it. Now, looking just a quick look on TradeMe today, most Mazda's RX-7s from that era are sort of between the $40,000 to $100,000 mark, depending on how optimistic the owners wanted to be.
He's a teenager, though.
Yeah. Now, and then it gets murky. He bought it sight unseen. It was uncomplied. It was a fresh import. It was uncomplied, so it wasn't road legal. The dealer says, and the tribunal agreed, that he marketed it as a project car. So at no stage was he actually saying it was a road legal car. And then it gets all sort of murky things about how the dealer says he knew that there was an adult involved in the dealings he had with them, whereas the family are now saying, no, the kid just did it on his own and all of this. The dealer says that the family were perfectly happy at the time to hand over the money and buy the car, and now they've changed their mind. And basically the tribunal in the end said, this is too much for us, and handed it over to the courts. And I, again, don't actually know what came of it because I could not find any record anywhere else of what happened. Right. But like I say, on TradeMe now, those cars are selling for $40,000 to $100,000.
Yeah, it's just
it doesn't sort of seem like he got a bad deal, but
everyone knows if you're lucky enough for your parents to buy you a car when you're a teenager, it should be a Suzuki Swift, and then you wouldn't have these problems.
Two.
That's it.
$40,000, you could have 2 Suzuki Swifts.
If you went second hand, you could have 5.
Yeah.
Anyway, we move on. I guess we're all just a little bit envious of the kid that has more money than us.
That's true. Yeah.
Number 4 on the list, BP and Shell stations sue rival for not charging enough for petrol.
Yeah, so this is 2 familiar brands, obviously, but it's actually an American story, and it's the 2 fuel stations which are next door to a Woodman's in the US. Now, Woodman's is a regional like supermarket outlet. I guess it's a bit like a Foursquare or something. They also sell petrol. And the 2 fuel stations, the 2 fuel providers, accused the franchise of deliberately undercutting them and selling much cheaper fuel, and they sued them. Yeah.
Right.
isn't that just business?
Well,
cheaper than your
they're
opposition?
arguing, and I think the lawsuit's still ongoing. There hasn't actually been an outcome that I'm aware of, but it's in Wisconsin, and there's an Unfair Sales Act in Wisconsin which covers stuff like this. So.
Well, it sounds like the same old problem with fuel companies, having conversations
Collusion.
about collusion on prices.
Yeah. So I guess the opposite applies. Yeah, if someone's deliberately undercutting you,
Yeah. Number 3 on the list. We're into the top 3 right now. Video footage of hidden mobile speed cameras raises questions of revenue raising.
Yeah, looks like I've been somehow given the top 3. I didn't elect that, but I've got the top 3 stories to present from the 1,000 or so stories that driven.co.nz runs in the calendar year. And hidden speed cameras. We all love a hidden speed camera. This was from New South Wales as well, which is an odd state. They've tried to hide them. They've come back again. So they do actually have to put a sign on the road to actually signify that there is a speed camera, but they put it within 50 metres, but obviously they don't put it before the speed camera, they put it after the speed camera.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah.
Oh my
So you just go through
goodness.
going, oh, there's a speed camera behind me that I've just gone through. So it's a real nasty state. I'm happy to be out of it, to be honest. I'll give you an idea. I mean, a typical, like a low-range speeding fine in New Zealand is $120. I think. Thankfully, I haven't actually, Thankfully,
I'm afraid I do know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ask Tony Street, she gets more than anyone.
Yeah, okay. To give you an idea, some parallels, and another reason why I was happy to move away from New South Wales, if you speed in the state of New South Wales, 10 kilometres and over, the fine is, in Australian dollars, $288. If you do 20 kilometres over, it's $494. Wow. If you do 30 kilometres over, it's $944 plus 3 months instant suspension.
Wow.
And if you do 45 k's and over, which sounds a bit ludicrous, but if you're going through like a construction zone that's down at 30 or a school zone that you haven't realised is 40 or 50, that could be 70 or 80 regularly, and you do 45 k's and over, so remember the 30 k and over was 944, 45 Ks over is $2,574
Wow.
plus 6 months suspension.
Wow.
Just ridiculous.
Well, I don't know I mean, in our system, it's the opposite side of that. You know, you'd get less than that for RAM rating, wouldn't you, in New Zealand?
Probably,
you know?
yeah. Slap on the wrist, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, nobody likes a hidden speed camera, and but everybody loves reading about it. A number 3 story of the year.
Number 2 on the list, the top 10 stories for 2022. The complete guide to the 64 warning lights on your dashboard. The Christmas gift that keeps on giving. Can you believe it?
It's the Christmas gift is not the headline part, but it is. This is the most resilient story I think we've run in Driven history. Driven's been going for, this is our 11th year. We're about to tick over into 12. This story 3 years ago was number 8 top story of the year. Last year it was number 3. Now it's moved into number 2 story. It's just about the complete guide to the 64 warning lights. Now, this is from 2017. This is a 5-year-old story. Now, I've been sitting on a surprise that none of you know.
There you go.
I tracked down the writer of this story.
Yeah.
He is a Scottish, England-based journalist called Anthony Joseph.
Yeah.
And he wrote the story. He's not a motoring journo. He's just a regular sort of normal news journo. Works for Sky in the UK. I tracked him down and I had a quick Q&A and asked him about this story. So let's cut to some video now. A warm welcome to the writer of this infamous story, a Scot in London. Hello, Anthony Joseph. Thanks for taking the time.
Hi, Dean. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Did you have any idea about the longevity and popularity of this story in New Zealand?
No, definitely not. I mean, this was just a very much a kind of run-of-the-mill story that I did. If I'm being honest, I don't even remember properly writing it. At Mail Online, you would very much be writing about 7 or 8 stories a day, and it's just crazy to think that that is one of the stories that has got a bit of legacy to it. But I mean, there's a reason why we did do the story, obviously, because they thought it would be interesting. It was basically saying that people don't know the signs, and it was almost like, do you know these signs? And it's one of those kind of the stories that people click into, see if they do know them, or test themselves as well. So,
well, I guess you wrote this back in 2017, which is, it's a lifetime. I mean, 1 year is a lifetime in the media. Where do you work now, and do you remember anything else about writing that actual story?
Yeah, well, now I work for Sky Sports News. Still in London as well, but I'm a news editor here, and it's a very different type of job, working in TV and working on live TV as well, and in sports news coverage. And it's a 24-hour news channel, so it never stops. And I'm mainly working football transfers, and also lead our coverage on our Hate Won't Win campaign, which covers stories about discrimination in sport as well. So it's very different to the nature of my previous job at Mail Online, which was you could literally have any story land on your feet that day, just depending on what was going on. But I've got no recollection of the story, and when you got in touch, I couldn't believe it. I was so surprised, but it made me laugh, and it's good. I'm glad it's doing well.
One of many hundreds, if not thousands, of stories done over the years since then, anyway. So
yeah, so it's I think when I left, I was at Mail Online for about 3.5 years, and I think when I left, I checked how many stories I'd done. It was like 6,000.
A couple of quick rapid fire questions. Do you own a car in London?
Yes, I do. Nothing special. Citroen C3.
Nice. That's not too bad. Do you have any warning lights that pop up on it ever?
I haven't yet so far. Like, actually, maybe a year ago, tire pressure. The signal came up saying that your tire pressure is low. But that was more on the screen rather than one of the lights that you have to know about. So I think I would struggle, but I guess now that I've been reminded that I wrote this story, if a warning light came on, I'd probably go on Driven's website and have a look at the story that I wrote.
You're the expert of your own subject knowledge.
Not sure about it.
Anecdotally, do you have an ultimate dream car?
Oh, I don't know. I think I always wanted. Well, can't say I always wanted to, but recently I've always wanted to have a Tesla, and I just think the screen is pretty cool. I quite like cars with nice screens on them, and like iPad-y kind of screens. But yeah, I'm a long way from being able to afford to own one.
Certainly, if you have any more motoring story ideas in the pipeline we could use.
I'm not sure. Perhaps without knowing too much about your publication, perhaps an idea might be to look at famous sports stars and their cars. Here in the UK, we've got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He's a footballer for Chelsea, and he loves his supercars. And he's got quite an array of cars. I would love to be able to tell you what kind, but I don't know. But I just know he's got lots of fancy cars, and lots of the tabloid media do stories on this new car that he's driving, things like that. So I don't know. Perhaps an idea for you guys on the famous New Zealand sports men and women and what they drive.
Possibly, yeah. Well, any stories you have, you've got a special green VIP pass for running stories for us on Driven. So, thanks for your time, Anthony. And I guess a sort of slightly odd congratulations. Yeah, if you ever get another car story, please let us know. And thanks for your time.
Will do. No, thanks for having me on. Cheers.
Outstanding research by
That was
Dino.
fantastic.
Yeah, he was a great guy. Like not a car guy, as I said in the interview. Like if he does another motoring story, please let us know. But
Did at any point he ask for a commission or a cut? I'd have been asking for a little rollback.
no,
on that.
he's quite surprised, obviously.
Was he really?
Yeah, to see it so resilient on driven.co.nz. So
We've never republished it as such. I mean, it's always been live,
So
but
it's just
we haven't pushed it again.
It
Yeah.
sat there as a resource then.
yeah.
I look forward to next year when it takes the number one spot.
That's exactly what I said. I thought it was going to be. It was so. The reason I did the interview because it sat number one until the number one spot was taken over in the last month or so. So that's why I did the interview. Thank you, Anthony. Maybe we will see it at number one next year. We won't do another interview, but
And interesting, number one on the list, and it is a recent story. And this surprised me. I cannot believe this is the most clicked and read story of 2022. Number one on the list is Hilux owner who paid $38,000 for his now worthless ute accepts he may never get his money back.
we only published. The remarkable thing about the story is that we only published this probably about 1 month ago.
Yeah.
So 7th of November we published this story, and obviously it hit an accord with the readership. Number one story for the year by a mile. Now, rather than just overview, I'll probably just read out the first paragraph. It is quite a long story, so there is more to actually be gained from. The owner of a now worthless Toyota Hilux that was built from multiple parts, including a stolen engine, has resigned himself to the possibility he may never get his money back. And he's not the only person to have bought a Hilux from the same dealer that has ended up in the Motor Vehicle Disputes Tribunal this year. In late 2020, Jeremy Jane paid 38 grand for this ute, which is now parked up, unable to be used after NZTA flagged it as unroadworthy because of the danger it presents to him and other road users.
Wow.
It comes after Auckland man Jay Keofelia paid Vehicle Imports Direct Limited 45 grand for his Toyota 18 Toyota Hilux 3 years ago, only to later find out it had been in a serious crash and been poorly repaired, leaving it with numerous faults. He was a builder and a keen hunter who liked to sort of use it as you do. You buy a car like that to use. But 17 months and about 36,000 Ks later, he found out that 2017 Hilux was built from composite parts, including a stolen engine. The case ended up at the Motor Vehicles Disputes Tribunal, which instructed Vehicle Imports Direct Limited, the company he bought it from, to refund the $38,000. Unfortunately, by that time, despite the business still being registered, it was no longer trading, and the site was vacant.
No longer trading.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah,
wonder
exactly.
why.
The
Yeah.
signage removed, telephone disconnected, emails unanswered. So there was a little bit of contact back and forth. The owner did get in contact with the guy, It's all very, very messy. There is a long story up there, but buyer beware. Due diligence whenever buying a vehicle, because it's a harsh and unfortunate lesson that
It is.
there's plenty of dodginess
Dodgy Hilux
going on.
taking the #1 spot for 2022. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you to Honda as well for backing us in and sponsoring the show and making it possible. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate your support tuning in each and every week. Dean, I think I'm going to let you read this note here. If you slipped that into my outro, I think it's something you're very passionate about.
Yes, it is. I could just put those 2 words.
Keep left unless passing. Have a wonderful summer. Be safe out there, and we'll see you with a brand new show next year. We can't wait. Have a great summer.